From meta to text to trends, how are things holding up in the market? Make sure you guys smash the 11 crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more on this content. And yes, do check out Kongs. I know I've been plugging them a lot lately, but they had all of that extra rarity collection stuff up, and I've seen the prices of this stuff hitting TCG Player. We've all seen, how this stuff can go, and of course, there's a lot of things you might want to keep an eye on over here. So discount code MCool40 will save you on your purchase on anything that you might want from this. And this was something that popped up in our Discord. I figured I'd show off the double pink Black Rose Dragon. Looks very, very nice, but this also looks Euro print, if I had to guess. I guess this is the comparison copy not included. Yeah, you can see the emphasis on the printing there for that. But they want $5,000 for this quote-unquote misprint. So interesting to see. They say very light play, but I can see that chunk hunkered out of the top. So interesting little misprints that pop up within the market. All right, so Archnemeses Escatos, or Escatos. A lot of people have kind of figured out that, hey, this card is pretty gosh darn good right now. Being able to type blow out your opponent seems very, very good, honestly, and we kind of appreciate that. You don't really tend to think about too much about this, but right now these have started to rise up to about $6 a copy, and honestly, just over the last couple of days, not had a lot of sales for this, but I mean, it's enough that Escatos has got to be looked at. Now, you do, luckily, they did us a favor. They reprinted this in Valiant Smashers, slapped the rare on it, and said, get it out of here. This is garbage. Nobody wants these rares. I mean, honestly, I'd be looking at the rares for the cheap alternative. It does appear that, these have been moving. They are doing pretty well in the secondary market, just as kind of a little generation of what you could pick up. So, hey, good to see that another Floodgate monster being replaced into the current Rizal deck is on the move. And then, of course, Heraldic Beast cards. After the death of Ouroboros, we still had the same question of, hey, Konami, where's my Heraldic Beast Leo at? Can we get this? But actually, don't even need to worry about it. We're down to 55 to 60 cents per copy of Leo. The rest of the Heraldic Beast garbage just flushes down the crapper here, because you don't have a purpose with any of this stuff anymore. I did the reason why I chose to include this was I just saw a build from the OTS Championships that did actually show up playing some of these cards, and I did think that was a little bit interesting, honestly, because you don't really tend to think about the life of Heraldic Beast after Ouroboros. Just kind of like, oh, it's garbage, get it out of here. But no, actually, it is still a semi-viable concept, and it is still working. So, TLDR card is now pennies and literal pineapples of nothing. Dominus cards. I know. Why are we looking at Dominus cards? I just want to toss this in here because I think it's important to kind of have a little bit of an idea as to how some of the little meta staples are holding up. I mean, Dominus Impulses, 200 peanuts. Purges, 120 peanuts. Dominus Spirals down to 48 peanuts, which is actually not bad. But do keep in mind here, these Dominus Impulses were down to 39. And then, of course, cool, both versions have settled at $39. Cool. Dominus Purges coming in at 23s. Looks like Dominus Purges from the 10s coming in at 22s. Meanwhile, Dominus Spirals are kind of fluctuating about the $9 to $10 mark, give or take a little bit off of this. And I do want to re-emphasize here, watch this card. I don't know how, when, where, why, or how, But there's been a lot of people watching this. A lot of people do seem to think that, you know, somewhere out in the universe, Dominus Spiral is going to, you know, take off and it's going to be this crazy card. From what we have seen, the only deck right now that even wants to bat an eye at this is just going to be the Odeon deck. And I mean, they're already putting in how many Dominuses that they can fit into the deck to be able to kind of counterpick the meta to at least some sort of degree. So, you know, there is some bounceability on that. And then Hadoken. So, Dark Girl or No More has been circulating a little bit back into the meta. It has been a card that, I mean, has been observably interesting to just kind of take note of, and its expansion back into the game. And honestly, being able to board break your opponent with this is still pretty good. Now, you're up to, I mean, you have one cheap one here for 31, but then you go back up to the 35, the $36 mark. And I feel like that's a pretty consistent thing across the board. So we'll have to wait and see, you know, maybe this card does fall back down. You know, you do have the Lost, or you do have a lot of other versions of these. Now, this was something cool. I didn't know until very recently that the Zexal World Duel Carnival cards actually existed on TCG Player. Now, for those of you that don't know, these were promo cards that were specifically bound to a version of the game that we did not get in America for physical printing. And of course, they are all train support cards, baby. I mean, the Night Express Knight was just can't be normal summon, or cannot be special summon from the deck, and you can normal summon this card without tributing, but its original attack becomes 0. You know, for the versions of these on the market, one sold on 11/2. Actually, a playset sold for $29, which is crazy. Though, hilariously enough, there's a German one right here that a playset I could pick up for $30, which is not terrible. And then, of course, you've got the Snow Russell Hustle. I mean, what? When your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, if you control or card of cards in your spell and trap cards on, you special summon this card from your hand, then destroy as many cards your spell and trap cards on as possible and do inflict 200 damage to your opponent. Just more extra little train support. I do see, once again, we have German copies here coming in at 10s, and then very minimalistic sales on this thing. And then the last one from this was the special schedule, which is just target a machine monster with 3,000 or more attack and grab special summon that target in face of defense mode. You can only activate one special schedule per turn. And if the set card is sent from the field to graveyard, target a level 10 machine monster and graveyard and add that to your hand. These are very, very cheap, but I don't think any builds ever really chose to play this. So speaking of some cool little things, you guys know, we in the TCG actually, we cry ourselves to sleep because we never got the alternate art for this. The special Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede, these are $1, and then the rares from Legendary Duelist 2 are 30 cents. We never got reprints for these. And we also never got the alt art for this, which we should have got, but we just never did. And then, of course, Urgent Schedule. I wanted to talk about this because this has been seeing some play. Saw a couple of RB decks popping up that were choosing to play this because this is just kind of gas. It looks like your Seeker Rares are like $4-ish right now for this, which is not bad. I mean, moving on up pretty decently well. But this card is very, very good for RB, depending on the combination build you're doing. But also, I mean, it does have the Eldorado print, which the Eldorado rares have actually hit $1, people. That's actually a little bit alarming to think about. That, you know, suddenly urgent schedules for rares are hitting dollars. And also, I wanted to look at Fiendish Chain here. For those of you that don't pay too much attention to some of these off-of-the-wall older Ultimate Rares, Fiendish Chain is definitely one of those. Now, near mint copies of these are very non-existent. You're looking at $54 a copy for near mints, which is astronomically a lot of money for no real reason. I mean, the fact that these also escalate up to $64, $85, you eventually hit the $150 mark, is a little bit telling, honestly, but okay, Sure market. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.